Hi, I'm Lina Vincent, and I'm an art historian, curator, and cultural project manager based currently in Goa. I have been working on writing and curation for almost 2 decades now. And when I began, it was actually during the time when I was a practicing printmaker, but I realized that I wanted to interpret others' work more than I wanted to work on my own. And so began my writing journey. I have been able to work on many different sorts of writing, and the methodology is different for each. For instance, if it is a journalistic review, then it comes from a direct interaction with an artist or an exhibition space or artworks themselves. And if it is a art historical research oriented piece, it is a much longer process, and the kind of study and the kind of development of data is a longer process and involves also a lot of different piecing of thoughts, which comes with its own time frame. I also work on various things like surveys and interviews that interest me very much because I do like to understand and interpret and involve and include others' voices other than my own. And this is something important to me in my work. Some of the main areas of focus in my writing and research practice have been arts education, something that I'm quite passionate about, and developing fresher and newer views on curriculum and syllabi. I also work with vernacular arts and folk and outsider arts and their presence in the contemporary arts world. And I am very keen on developing a wider perspective on environmentally and socially engaged arts. So these are the core themes that interest me. Over the years, I've had the opportunity of working under and alongside many different art historians and researchers and practitioners in the field from whom I have gained a lot. And my methodology has developed because of all these various interactions. It is an entirely learning process. Everything that I do comes from also learning from past mistakes and understanding newer ways to develop on a particular subject. It has been a process of interactions and a process of also learning the technicalities of writing, of editing, of making sure that work comes with as less jargon as possible so it has a greater outreach, of really making it so that it touches upon the subject that's being written about. And that's what I try to do. I usually work on exhibitions very much in advance. I prepare for almost 6 months to a year and develop on a theme, a concept, interact with the artist or artists as the case may be, and also with the gallery because everyone is linked together. So I enjoy really working on group exhibitions because it means a variety of mediums. It also happens that new dialogues begin in a very organic way, and the works themselves begin to speak to each other in different ways. Sometimes the entire concept can turn around during the process of curation. I also enjoy working on historical material, though it's quite different to work on that. And working within a museum space, understanding how to develop stories out of history and cultural perspectives is something that is very enriching. I also am in the space of working in a multidisciplinary way, wherein I am looking at outsider art, folk art and craft, also popular arts coming from different spaces, and as well contemporary art, which is both Indian and international. It's also quite inspiring to see the number of ways in which artists are able to innovate, even during this period of the pandemic, when we are not able to be physically present or materially associated with anything, artists are able to overcome this and develop many new ways of sharing work. And as a curator, I too have been understanding this period in different ways and working on utilizing the online space itself as a, a platform for curation and different sorts of interaction. I'm interested very much in ideas that are generated from a personal and local interaction, and artists who work with a deep engagement with their own personal surroundings, as well as interpreting things for a more universal audience. These are the things that really interest me. So it could be any subject whatsoever, but as long as it holds the truth of a personal interaction with space and environment of that particular artist, it is something of interest to me. I'm really open to different sorts of experiences, which is what I was talking about. That is, this interdisciplinary space where collaboration plays a very important part, where artists are innovating in different ways, where they are mixing different voices and bringing together different mediums to say new things. These are some of the spaces that I feel deeply interested in, and I continue to work on subjects that are also sometimes slightly neglected, which is why I have worked with printmaking practice to a large extent, because for a long time printmaking was rather sidelined. um, I am interested in areas of gender practices as well as in performance, some of which have become very prominent in the current times, but even 10 years ago, these were something that were kept at the margins. So it's wonderful in today's sense to see that younger artists are able to take up many different forms of expression and be successful at what they're doing. I'm keenly interested in human experience and the interaction of an artwork within a space and with an audience. Because without that circle of communication that happens between the artist and the artwork, as well as a viewer, and of course, someone to mediate, the chain remains somewhere incomplete. So, that is something I continue to be curious about, and I continue to explore with every exhibition or every curatorial project that I take up. I was trained as a printmaker, and I continue to be deeply interested in the medium and work on it also on occasion when there are workshops or when I'm conducting some sort of program. And of course, sketching and drawing comes naturally, but it's not something that I showcase because I am not primarily, I don't consider myself to be an art practitioner in that sense because I don't show my work. But I like to understand the art process always. In fact, I feel that being an artist and understanding the processes has given me an upper hand, a great advantage in working with artists, because it is easier to enter into their spaces and enter into their minds to a certain extent, to feel the emotional exchange that happens between the artist and the artwork, and interpret this in different ways. So even though I don't showcase my own work, I feel that being an artist, a trained artist, has really given me insights that perhaps may not be there for someone who has only worked on the theoretical end. One of the best things from my own experience as a curator and writer has been developing really long term relationships with the artists that I work with. So, there are many artists with whom I have been working for a decade or more, I understand their practices so deeply that if I am asked to speak or write about their work, it comes very organically and very naturally. I I really enjoy the fact that artists keep in touch and update me on their work regardless of whether there is an exhibition in the planning or not. And that is something that for me is a very enriching and beautiful experience, this long term relationship that I have with many artists. The period of the pandemic has been a complex time. We are running on 8 or 9 months now of this lockdown period, and the cultural industry has really suffered a lot. It has been a period of rethinking, of facing challenges, and of finding solutions in the interim period because life has to go on and human beings are inbuilt with the with the capacity to overcome these things. So I feel that this period has been one of learning. It has been great to be able to participate in and also hear so many wonderful panels of collaborations and solidarity shown by artists and by people within the cultural industry coming together to support each other and others who are left behind economically, hosting shows, online residencies, even discussions, and also curatorial projects that have all transferred their energies to an online space. And of course, we miss the physical atmosphere. We miss being in groups and we miss the contact and the handshakes and the hugs. But all in all, I feel that this is a period where we will also understand how to better treat our own environment, better treat each other after this period. It has certainly changed perspectives. We are now focusing on these little screens in front of us and delving into entire histories through this. But it will turn into something positive, of that much I can be sure, because this is a learning period for everyone. Change is something really constant, and though this seems like a very big change for all of us, I feel that in some ways we will uh, find ways to overcome it in different ways. Um, we do have we do have chances to rethink what we have been doing wrong, perhaps in the past. We have new ways to collaborate and connect with each other and innovate and actually also take up our responsibilities as cultural practitioners and artists and designers to contribute to more innovative ways in which to help society to not only remain in the periphery or not only remain in the space of creating art, but to actually participate in a greater way in a social and public sphere in order to change the way we are treating the environment, to change the way we understand uh, the separations in our own society. I think these are some of the things that are deeply touching me, and not only me, but I think many others at this point. When we look around us and we think of privilege and we think of education and we think of moving forward together in this world, this is something that I feel will deeply help us all to rethink for a more equitable future, and a future which is better for our children as well.